who, of course, works for us here. He writes for Bleacher Report. Buke, what are your sources telling you the reaction was to Kyrie Irving questioning whether or not it was the right time to come back and play basketball?
There was a certain faction of players in the league who were glad that conversation was being had, that they felt like they hadn't necessarily been heard or had an opportunity to speak. But there was also a great deal of confusion because Kyrie Irving had the opportunity when this conversation first started about coming back to express questions about should they be playing and whether it was health. Obviously, the timing of this with the death of George Floyd and the rise in the Black Lives Matter movement has changed things. But there's far more question about why is Kyrie doing this and where does he really stand, in part because he was on board with going and then was told that he wasn't going to be able to go. So this is much like, look, I hate to draw the parallel, but it's a lot like Colin Kaepernick. Nobody questions the cause. Nobody questions the intentions, but you can't separate the messenger from the message. And when there's been confusion over what the messenger intends in previous situations, it's going to muddy the waters. And this is just a subject for me that is too important to have the message muddied.
I agree with you, but I look at LeBron James and the fact that he organized an original call to get guys back to work, and I feel like this is still LeBron's league. And then you look at what Patrick Beverley tweeted, which is, "Hey, LeBron's playing, we're hooping. That's we're still in it for the cause for the right reasons." But it does feel like though not everyone is down with LeBron in terms of wanting to play with him, he does kind of lead the league, does he not?
Without question. And that leads to another, theory, conspiracy theory, however you want to phrase it. But we know the relationship, the contentious relationship at times between LeBron and Kyrie. That Kyrie has wanted to be seen as being on LeBron's level. So is it possible that Kyrie is raising this simply to be the alternative to LeBron James and LeBron James's position and the ability to say, well, hold on a minute. LeBron may have decided this, but this is what I have to say, or this is where I'd like to go with it. Understood that it's only a theory, but the truth of the matter is that Kyrie's reputation precedes him, and you can't separate the two. Look, I'm not even sure if LeBron took the stance that Kyrie was taking, it would be more powerful for sure. But I don't know that his stand on things, because he hasn't necessarily been consistent or he hasn't been clear, that would be the guy that I would want leading the charge either. And it got me to thinking, like, who from the NBA would I lean in and listen closely to if they said, you know what, I'm not so sure it's a good idea that we come back and play. And there are a couple of guys.
Who's that?
Steph Curry is one. Damian Lillard is another. Victor Oladipo is a third. Mike Conley. And for me, I would listen to Draymond Green because he may have been contentious and he may be controversial, but he's always been direct in what he believes and how he feels. But certainly the first four guys that I mentioned, those are the guys that I would want leading the charge. And for anybody who wants to say, like, don't confuse the message with the messenger, look, that's not the way real life works. Your reputation matters. Your stance on things previously matter. If you want people to trust you and follow you and believe ultimately in your credibility.
Yeah. I'm just sitting here. I'm trying to listen, trying to not combine the two, and trying to continue to evolve. All right, explain this to me. I don't think the argument actually holds up, really, right? Like your
Right. Well,
your platform is so much bigger when you're playing. And oh yeah, by the way, by the time they're playing, other sports are going to be going as well. Like baseball is going to be going, football is going to be close to going. And so if the idea, it's not like it's either the NBA is on or nothing's on. That's not really accurate. Now, I have questions about the bubble and whether or not it'll be good for the sport. The rest of the world feels like it's opening up, so that'll be awkward. Additionally, the quality of play, Buke, 3 months in a hotel, and in the third month you're deciding who is the champion of the league. I don't know, 3 months in any I don't care how nice the hotel is, that does not seem like a smart plan.
I've been saying this from the beginning. We need to reset or recalibrate our expectations of what this is going to be. It's going to be labeled playoff basketball, but it's going to be the kind of playoff basketball you would expect if you were playing the playoffs coming directly out of training camp. We've never seen it before. So I ultimately would expect that that this is going to be a rough go. Aside from the fact that you have guys that are going to be performing in very unusual circumstances. No fans, you don't have your facilities to prepare game to game, etc. And so yes, it is going, but look, there's also just leading the charge to getting back to normalcy that is really important. And so I think it's worth it. It is going to be a hardship on the players. They are going to have the biggest issue. But I look, and maybe I'm being selfish as a sports fan, I'd like to see it happen. And this goes back to what Kyrie was suggesting, which is, okay, so not playing, how does that further your cause? What is that? What do you want? If you're going to use that as leverage to improve things, what is it that you want to see improved? I believe that has to be part of the conversation. Understanding what is it that you're going to get out of this if you don't come back and play. Otherwise, it just seems like, okay, we're making a statement, but we're making a statement for what? I want to see real results ultimately. And if this can get you that, I'm all for not playing. But you need to tell me what those results are in order for me to fully buy in that it's worth not coming back and playing.
Kind of quickly here, Buke. Kenny Atkinson, rumored to be one of the candidates for the New York Knicks job. You combine him with Tom Thibodeau. Thibs we've seen before. Okay, Thibs is a guy built up the Bulls, and of course went to Minnesota, cleaned house, and made them at least a playoff team. But it wears out its welcome. He wears down these younger players, but he is a fantastic coach. What about Kenny Atkinson? Could a Brooklyn Nets cast-off become the next head coach of the Knicks?
I just haven't heard a lot of people talking, and I'm surprised by it because I was a fan of what Kenny Atkinson did last year. And I thought that the way the Nets played this year particularly seems to be a hyper analytics driven style that didn't always make sense. I was told that was Kenny's doing. I thought it was more of a management thing, ownership thing that was driving that. And so I'm not convinced. I have not heard his name attached with that. And what I don't know is exactly what Leon Rose is looking for in his next head coach. But I would be surprised. Tom Thibodeau and Mark Jackson, there's cachet there with the Knicks fans. And I've been told that matters. I don't know that the former Nets coach is going to have the same cachet, even though technically he coached in Brooklyn last we saw him.
Yeah, I think within the league, the culture they created, everybody, and the way they played, everybody liked, whereas other names like Mark Jackson would be more liked by fans. I don't know if it would be received the same by the players. The whole thing is really, really, as is the coaching market, which generally all that stuff gets decided in Vegas during Summer League. Now it'll be in Orlando, but only 22 teams down there. What about the other teams that aren't there, like the New York Knicks?
Well, I will say this very quickly about Kenny. I was surprised at the reaction that I've heard from people around the league. He's not as highly regarded as I thought he was, and as highly regarded as I held him in talking to people around the league. I was surprised by that, and that's what gives me reservation when you talk about him potentially being a candidate with New York or Chicago or any of the openings. I'm not getting the sense that he's as hot a prospect as we thought initially when he left the Nets.
Ric Bucher, you can check him out, read his work in Bleacher Report. You can see him on all of our shows, including Speak for Yourself, which follows this one. Buch, great stuff. Whoever was opening the door looked like one of your golden retrievers. Tell them to stop butting in.
Not a golden retriever, but yeah, dog decided to come in halfway through the show.
What is it? Is it a pound puppy? What kind of dog is it?
Rescue, indeed.
What's the dog's name?
That would have been Beans. Frank isn't here right now.
Franks and Beans. Franks and Beans. Beans and Frank. Franks and Beans. Thanks, Buch.
You got it.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.